Hey everybody, Teddy the Brave here, and I just wanted to take some time to talk to you about something that is very important to me. Amidst all that is happening right now, all the current events, and in light of everything that has been going on in the past couple of days, couple of weeks, months, 400 years, I want to share a little bit about a particular experience that I had traveling the United States of America. Now, I know many of you that are watching have the question in your mind, like, why do these people keep coming forward with all their stories about race and about their experiences? Can't they just move on? No, we can't. We can't, not until there's change. And that's why a lot of people are coming forth and sharing, because like myself, they may not have had an outlet, or they might not have allowed themselves to be open. With my particular experience, I got a wonderful job with a wonderful company called Poetry Alive, and I traveled the United States going school to school with my teammate, my wonderful teammate Robin Kime, and we taught the children about poetry, and we did workshops, we did presentations, and the poetry had a message, and it was very real, and it was just a wonderful experience. I will say my first time heading out on the road, got the car, I was headed to pick up my teammate. I was full of excitement, but I could not help but think of the potential dangers ahead driving around the United States of America as a black man. Particularly when I was by myself, and when I met my teammate and we started rehearsals and got in the hang of things, I kind of pushed it in the back of my head, because now I have a white counterpart, a white partner who will help sort of serve as a buffer in potentially intense situations. It infuriates me that I even had to process it like that in order for me to be comfortable. We would get our assignments a week, sometimes 2 weeks in advance, and I would always pay attention to the states in particular areas that we were going. Some states and some areas made me more nervous than others. And after some time of kind of cramming it down, I realized that I was stressed out. And I couldn't put words to it, but I would have stomach aches. Maybe I'm not hydrated enough. And I did all I could to kind of rationalize things. But when I got home for Christmas break, I broke down. I broke down because I realized this is racial stress. And I have not been allowing the feeling to come up and cycle out of me. I have not allowed for that. I haven't spoken with anybody. I haven't talked to my teammate. Sometimes I would call my parents and they didn't know, but I would mute the phone and I would just start crying. Because I didn't know what the days ahead looked like. And I didn't know why I was feeling so constricted and so bound. We don't talk about a whole lot of things when we should. And when I was finally able to say, hey, this is racial stress, Teddy, we need to start implementing some self-care, I finally started sharing a little bit with friends. I was able to push through that second semester and even have some impactful conversations with my teammate Robin. Throughout the entirety of that experience, I was often conflicted because I wanted it to be perfect. I didn't want to be nervous riding around Kentucky, but I was. Sometimes I would get a migraine or a stomach ache like that when I would see a huge truck with a Confederate flag, or when I would go into a store with my teammate and I would be watched the entire time. Certain teachers or certain leadership responded to me in a particular way, as opposed to my teammate Robin. Even though I was talking about it more, I would still kind of suppress it from time to time, and I cried a lot. As soon as we would get checked into the hotels or the Airbnbs, when we would get the week's events cleared out and organized and straight, I would go to my own space and I would just break down. And I was also heavily sedated. I would go into periods of not eating and binge watching things on TV or YouTube. And then I would have periods where all I did was snack, because it kept my mind going. It just kind of kept me in this space where I didn't have to think about everything. But just because you're not thinking about something, it doesn't mean your body is not processing it. It will have an impact on your health, on your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health. I was able to make my way through that semester, through that final semester of traveling the U.S. with a lighter heart, keeping the children in mind, keeping the lives in mind that were being impacted by my presence. To a degree, I was able to better hold my space. Every place I walk, every place I stand, I deserve to be here. I'm here, aren't I? Then I deserve to be here. And that really helped me. Sometimes we go through situations that will kind of activate the activist within us. And arts activism is something that I have been called to. Conversations, art, call to action. I began to look at this great US of A. You know, we always sing the song, "This land is your land, this land is my land." And I'm just like, wow. Wow, wow, wow. This country full of beautiful people whom I love. I have a real issue with the country. I have a real issue with the policies and standards and all the hidden things and the clauses that people don't know about. The sickness of racism and people that think these people shouldn't be here. We also have to learn how to say the truth without being apologetic. Francis Scott Key, when he was writing the national anthem, he was not thinking about this great melting pot when he said, or the land of the free and the home of the brave. Black people were not included in that sentiment because Francis Scott Key himself owned slaves. And so you begin to challenge things and you begin to ask questions. You begin to contribute in a way that will shake things up. There was an event that I participated in connection with WHRO, in which we talk about race. That summer, after I finished the tour with Poetry Alive, we did another installment, and afterwards I was approached by Natasha Ewa. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Natasha Ewa of I Thrive Therapy and Wellness. And we had a conversation. And in that short conversation, I felt so liberated. She was a safe space for me to process. I was reminded through her that there are safe places, there are safe spaces, there are people who have studied, who have a natural ability and platform in which they love to help people. If somebody wants to help you, be helped. And in that moment, I let her lift me up and affirm me, and she told me that I was heard, that she sees me, and that my anger is valid, my pain is valid, and that racial stress is a real thing. Somebody out there needs to know that you need to get some counseling, you need to get some therapy. Don't be inhibited by the fear anymore. Don't be hindered. And if you are someone who can help, please reach out. And if you know a great counselor, or if you yourself are a counselor, a therapist, or a psychologist, please link your information below. And I want to say a special thanks to Natasha Ewa and to the countless others who are doing their part in this fight to make sure that we are taken care of. Your voices are valid. From California to the New York Highlands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me the golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, This land was stolen from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land belonged to somebody.